Hey Matt, this is Ben from Reddit. We were talking about the Mike Stern, Charlie Banacos altered stuff. So the Banacos idea, you know, to really start the scaffolding for understanding how to manipulate these things, it's really while it leads to the altered stuff, it begins just with these kind of, I want to say, simple chord embellishments. While I don't think that they are actually all that simple, the idea of them is very simple. Putting them into practice is a little bit more complicated. So just a real quick 30 seconds. Banacos was a teacher. He was primarily a teacher like myself, wasn't really a performer. And he was trying to get a better understanding analytically of what a bird's vocabulary so that he could then teach it to people, rather than having folks just transcribe a whole bunch, which obviously is a tremendous resource. To have some of the theory, I guess I want to say, behind what's going on in some of the bebop vocab. This was one of the many methods that he used. So cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to think about a 2-5-1 in the key of C major, just because it's simple. So you have 2, 5, 1. You can play this however you want, wherever you want. It doesn't matter. Eventually, the idea with this stuff is that you're going to put it through all of the stuff So all the chords, all the shapes, voicings, inversions, keys, etc. But for just for this, we're going to do C major, and then of course our dominant chord is this G7, however you want to voice it. And so here we go. So over that dominant 7, that's where we're going to have a lot of the altered embellishments. Again, this exercise has a whole bunch of stuff going on with it that we're not talking about right now because it takes a long time. But for right now, we'll just stick to the dominant 7 arpeggio. So in this case, G7. Right. I feel very confident that you know that. I listened to a bunch of your videos. You sound like a great player already. So anywhere you want to do a G dominant 7 arpeggio or chord melodically. Now what we're going to do, we have these embellishments, okay? And the embellishment we're going to work on right now is the half step above embellishment. So for certain notes, for the root, that would be a flat 9, right? For the 3, it would be a 4, which is kind of weird. For the 5, the natural 5, you're going to get a sharp 5. For the flat 7, you're going to get a natural 7. Right, so for each of those tones in the 1, 3, 5, flat 7 chord, you're going to have an embellishment. And we do them one at a time and then all together. So the first one is a half step above embellishment, the root of a dominant 7 arpeggio. And that's going to look like this. Again, the arpeggio I'm playing. Notice I'm just playing 2 octaves from root to root. That's an important part of the scaffolding for this. So here we go. Here's the chromatic embellishment, the altered embellishment, half step above of a G7, G dominant 7 arpeggio. All right, I'm really trying to emphasize that for you. Now I'm going back down. So I have flat 9, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, flat 9, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, flat 9, 1, flat 9, 1, flat 7, 5, 3, flat 9, 1, flat 7, 5, 3, flat 9, 1. Okay, notice again I'm playing 2 octaves from root to root, and I'm going to keep it that way. So I just embellished the root by a half step above, which ended up being a flat 9. I'm going to do the same thing now for the major third, which ends up being a 4. Don't worry about it. I know it's not altered. It doesn't matter right now. Just bear with me. So now I'm going to embellish the major third by a half step above. Oop, my bad. Right. That's a half step embellishment above the 3. Or 1, 4, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 4, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, flat 7, 5, 4, 3, 1, flat 7, 5, 4, 3, 1. Cool. Now we're going to do the same embellishment, half step above, and we're going to do it on the natural 5 now, which gives us a sharp 5. So here we go. Okay, so I have 1, 3, sharp 5, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, sharp 5, 5, flat 7, 1, flat 7, sharp 5, 5, 3, 1, flat 7, sharp 5, 5, 3, 1. Cool. All right, now I'm going to do the embellishment on the flat 7, so it's going to be a natural 7, right? So that's cool. It kind of gives you part of that bebop scale, right? There's that 1 flat, natural 7, flat 7 thing that happens in the bebop scale. Okay, that's cool. And then now we've done the embellishments on the 1, the 3, the 5, and the flat 7. So now I'm going to do the embellishments on each one, okay, together as this whole arpeggio now. So. Cool. So that's all of my chromatic embellishments from above by a half step. Again, it gives you some altered tones. It gives you some other tones that aren't altered tones. Don't worry so much right now about like which ones specifically are the altered tones. Not super relevant right now. It's more about getting the idea under your fingers. Now, just 30 seconds, kind of one last selling point about why you should work on these things, and in my opinion, why they're just just really important, man. They're so helpful. So to me, the thing that these really illustrated for me when I started getting them all together was that I really started to develop a much more solid understanding of where arpeggio tones were. What I mean is just that, there was a time in my playing where I would say, okay, yeah, of course I know a G flat 7 arpeggio, right? And I know it everywhere. I know all the different caged forms and the 3 on a string forms, the Berkeley stuff, all that crap, right? And that's fine, that's cool, and it's super useful. But what I never really dug into and it took me a while to figure out how important this was and figure out a method to understanding it. This just happened to be it. Thanks, Mike. So the idea here is you can't embellish a third if you don't know where the third is in the arpeggio, right? You can't embellish the 5 if you don't know where the 5 is in the arpeggio. So if you go to play a G7 like this, or like this, I guess is maybe a little simpler, or even this, just the 3 tones, 1 flat 7. 3. If you play this, maybe you know this is the chord, and maybe you know all this stuff already, and you should just turn this video off. But if you don't, or you're not like 100% comfortable, you can't just like look at a chord anywhere on the guitar neck and say, oh, like, I'm playing here. What's this? A B flat. I need to know that if this is a B flat, I need to know that this note is the third, based on the fact that this is a B flat, right? I need to know that relationship, like I know my sister's name, and so. This exercise really forces you to do that. Again, you can't embellish a tone if you don't know what tone you're playing. So you have to know that this is the 1 in the G7, right? You have to know that this is 3. You have to know this is 5. Flat 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1. You have to know that stuff. Because otherwise, when you bring a metronome into this game, suddenly you're going to fall apart because you're like, oh, wait, like, am I embellishing? Oh, crap. You know what I mean? So it really helps to illustrate exactly where all the tones are in your arpeggios, in a way that I think, there's lots of different methods to figuring this out or to memorizing this stuff. But to me, this just became a natural extension of this exercise. Okay. And then the last thing I'll leave you with real quick is that, so Banacos was a piano player. Obviously, Mike is a guitarist. So Mike had some specific elements that he would incorporate into some of the stuff that Banacos worked on with him that was specific to guitar. So for instance, like to do this exercise we just did on a piano, it's not actually nearly as hard, right? Because there's only like so many places that you can play those. Where's my hand? So many places that you can play those arpeggios on the piano in a specific range. Guitar obviously is not like that, which is troublesome. And so, one of the things that Mike brought into this exercise that I really enjoyed was doing the exact same exercise, but doing it all on a single string. So in this case, your G7 would be like. Now, because guitar is, only has so many frets, in this case, I'm just doing an octave. 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, flat 7, 5, 3, 1. Okay? And then I'm going to do the same embellishments. So I have. That was my embellishment of a half step above on the root. Do the same thing on the third. Oop, my bad. There we go. Okay, so that's my embellishment on the third. In this case, it's the 4. Then I'm going to do the embellishment on the 5th. Like I said, I'm a teacher, not a player. And then I'm going to do the embellishment on the flat 7. So. Right? And that gives me all those same embellishments that I just did in the cage shape, or this vertical shape, or this position. I did all the same stuff, but now I just did it horizontally. And the advantage of that, again, is now I can see, oh, cool, this is 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, flat 7, 5, 3, 1. And I don't have to think about that, right? Because I just know, these shapes now. I know what this idea looks like. And because I did the embellishments the way I did them, I know where each of those tones, where each of those scale tones or chord tones are in this arpeggio, right? And of course, I can also do this all together. So that would be a flat, or excuse me, an approach, half-step approach, chromatic approach from above for each of the notes, right? So we go a half step above, and then we go down to the note. So that's 1, that's 3, that's 5, that's flat 7, it's back to 1, I start over but descending. Right, or cool. And then in context, maybe you're playing a 2/5. Yeah. Notice I'm doing that flat and that half step above embellishment there on the 1 of the 1 chord, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right? Even though it's a flat 9, we think, oh, flat 9 can only be in the altered scale or only on a dominant chord, but that's bullshit, man. This is just chromaticism. It's jazz, right? All these flats, all these half step aboves, these embellishments, they're really like leading tones in a way. Obviously, a leading tone is a very specific thing, but it presents the same like tension the leading tone would present, right? So here's like a D minor 7 arpeggio, right? That chromatic embellishment. Now chromatic embellishment to G, right? So that's the 4 to 3. So I did something like, what did I do? That's my half step above. And then maybe I'll do another one. Another 2. And then resolve to the C. Again. the idea, right? So yeah, man. If you have any more questions, I'd be happy to talk some more about this stuff. Like I said before, I am a guitar teacher. I'm not. Well, actually, I'm a music teacher, really, more than anything. Yeah. So I don't. I'm not like a normal instructor. In that I don't tend to like work by hours, and I also don't take very many students. And the reason why is that uh, well, I've been teaching for 17 years, and what I've discovered is that I really enjoy working with people who really enjoy working with me, and who are motivated about the instrument and really engaged in the instrument and have a very clear set of goals or requirements that they're looking for, so that I can develop a platform for them to prosper with a like with a certain kind of deadline in mind and certain goals and guarantees, because I don't fuck around when it comes to teaching. It's the thing I'm really passionate about. I actually went back to school to learn mathematics and education after I went to music school. Just finished math school right now, and the whole point was to get to be a better guitar teacher, because mathematics, language acquisition, and melodic acquisition, or music understanding development, all of those things track along the same neural pathways in your brain. And so by incorporating all of them together and trying to develop a better understanding, I can help students either get better at math or music by using both of those tools. So really, there's, everybody says like, oh, math and music, they're like really similar things, and that's true, obviously, I guess, or at least it seems true. But for me, it was important to really understand that so that I could help musicians better get to their goals using as many different tools as possible. So again, like I'm a little strange as an instructor. I don't have a specific rate. It depends on what the students are trying to do and what deadlines they're trying to get to, because it's very much, I don't want to say it's goal oriented so much as like, I'll guarantee you get to this level of whatever on your instrument by this period of time based on where you are right now and what kinds of things you're looking to do. But regardless, man, I would also just be happy to chat with you some more. I love teaching. This is what I do. I'm not a gigging musician anymore. I just am really passionate about helping people better themselves through music. So, yeah, man, hope this was helpful. And if it's not, that's fine. And if it is, great. I will maybe talk to you later. Bye, dude.